All right, well, it seems like we've got a good number of people joining us, so I'll just get everything started. My name is Leidy Wagner. I'm the operations manager for Rocky Mountain Reach, and we're really excited to have you all on this call to answer your questions about this funding opportunity. And we do have some additional things that we can go over during this time as well. And maybe I'll just pass it around to the REACH team to introduce ourselves so that you can all put a face to any emails that you may have gotten. Karen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Leidy. Hi, my name is Karen Brown. I'm a principal investigator on the REACH Award. I work at the LS Skaggs Institute for Health Innovation here at the University of Montana, and I'll pass it on to Erica.
Hi, I'm Erica Woodall, Karen's co-PI on the Rocky Mountain REACH Award. I'm a professor in the School of Pharmacy here at the University of Montana.
Carl.
Thanks, Erica. Carl Unterschutz. I am the program director for Accelerate Montana's Rural Innovation Initiative. It's one of the programs under University of Montana's economic development portfolio. And so my role on this is really looking at the commercialization side and supporting the innovators on the entrepreneurial activities. How about Caroline?
Me next. Hi, I'm Caroline McLean, and I am the Project and Innovations Manager for the Rocky Mountain REACH Award, and also within the Skaggs Institute for Health Innovation here at University of Montana.
Great, thank you. So the way that we envision this working this morning is if the folks on the call want to put your questions into the Q&A portion of Zoom down there on the bottom, then I will read the questions to the team, and I think Karen's probably going to be answering most of them, but we'll all probably jump in as needed to answer your specific questions. I guess just to get started, not seeing any in the chat right away, I do want to remind folks that we're trying to keep this a little bit high level, so if you have a very specific question about your project, I would encourage you to book a call with one of our team members. That will give you about 30 minutes with one of us to really dive into your specific project and any eligibility or other questions that you might have. But we'll go over just some high level things just to get started. So Karen, can you talk a little bit about what the funding can be used for, and what it exactly is going to cover, direct costs versus indirects, that kind of thing?
Sure, absolutely. And before I dive in, I'll take a step back just for anyone who's joined and just signed up yesterday for the webinar to learn a little bit more. So I'll give very high level. Rocky Mountain REACH is a newly funded NIH program. We are one of 5 hubs across the US, and we are serving the Montana, Alaska, Wyoming, and Idaho region. The REACH Award is really intended to accelerate academic discoveries in the biomedical health sciences space towards commercialization. So this is a little bit more of a phase 0, maybe a gap fund of an initial $50,000. And as Leidy asked, the $50,000 is direct costs. IDCs will be on top of that for your individual institutions. And then any funding restrictions, the funding really has very few restrictions. But what is unique about this program is it's really designed to give you a little bit more of a product development or commercialization type pathway. So the way that the funding will be designed is that we'll have milestones that will be achieved with the funding, which is a specific goal that you're trying to reach to start de-risking your technology or start moving it towards commercialization, whether that be business activities, looking into the regulatory aspects or the pathways that you believe it will go through with the FDA, doing some customer discovery perhaps. And then with that milestone that you're trying to achieve, the individual activities underneath it will be associated with a budget line or an amount of time that is required piece of equipment that's required to achieve the milestone, anything along those lines. So our project managers are going to be working really heavily with you. Our leadership team is here to support, and we're really focused on kind of establishing that almost Gantt chart from the beginning, so that this is milestone driven funding. And then after the $50,000 is released, upon completion of the milestones, you will be eligible for another $50,000 of REACH funding.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions leading off of that? You know, we are using the Q&A function, but if you do want to raise your hand in your little Zoom window there, we can unmute you and you can ask your question directly if that's a little bit easier as well. I guess, can you talk a little bit more? You did kind of touch on it there, Karen, about the review process for that milestone-driven funding.
Sure. So we are initially sending out invitations to submit a full application. Those should go out on April 12th. So you'll know if we'll be working with you pretty heavily over the next couple months. There are workshops involved to help you write those applications. And one of those workshops is called Developing a Rocky Mountain REACH Work Plan. So upfront, we'll be working with you and iterating your ideas on the milestones that you would like to achieve with this funding. And then after the award has been received, then our project managers, and particularly Caroline, who is on the call here with us, our technologies manager here, will be meeting with you monthly. We're going to take on that project management piece for you so that we can just keep on track, see what barriers we can lift, what connections we can make to make sure that we're staying in line with the timeline. So in the review process, as you go through the 6 to 12 months of the award period, you'll have monthly meetings primarily with Caroline to check in on project management and achievement of milestones.
Yeah,
Great,
and just
thank
a
you.
note on that, that I think Karen's emphasized as well, is that this is not meant to create more hoops for you to jump through. So we know that you are an academic institution with a teaching load with other competing projects. So this is meant to be, and intended by the purpose of the NIH award, to be an asset to you. So my role, or Leidy's role, or whoever your project manager would be there to assist you and adjust your work plan as needed if necessary to ensure that your project is successful in this first round of funding and can be eligible for follow-up funding.
Great, thanks Caroline and Karen. We did have a question come in through the Q&A from Lucy Pellin. She asks, can this funding be used for proof of principle?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that will be majority of the funding for this round. So this is the Drive Award, and then our follow-on, or our pilot award, and then our follow-on $50,000 is a Drive Award to kind of bring things up a notch, bring things a little bit closer.
Great. Another one of my clarifying questions is, does the project have to be one of the, for lack of a better term, categories listed on our webpage and on the RFA to apply? You know, we have therapeutics, diagnostics, methods, research tools. Can you talk a little bit more about any other type of project or category of project that you think would be eligible to apply for this funding opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. Traditionally, the REACH Awards have primarily been supporting a lot of small molecules, medical devices, diagnostics, but particularly in this round, the NIH has encouraged us to disseminate the message. We're looking for anything that moves the needle on health outcomes. So that might be a preventative, that might be health IT, that might be a research tool, really digital health service, really anything that you can convey is addressing an unmet need a health disparity, a high disease burden issue that moves the needle on that.
Great. And I would just, again, like to invite anyone who has a specific question about a very specific project to book a call. I did put the link in the chat with our team so that we can hear a little bit more about your project. This is a pretty open call, and the LOI is a relatively short application. So we just want to get in as many folks as we possibly can to this round. And we're always happy to hop on a call with you to discuss further. We did have another question come in. Someone asks, can one person be in two teams? So for example, in one team as a team member and in another as the PI.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't see any issue with that, but Erica, let me see what you think.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with it either. I think as long as it would be a different technology, I don't see that would be a problem.
Yeah, we encourage
Great.
you to apply.
Sort of a similar question is, do we need to have someone with a business focus or like a business person as a part of the team?
Probably building off of what someone might have experienced in like the I-Core program, where there's the science lead or technology lead. Carl would know more about this, the business lead and the industry mentor. You do not. You can apply as a single member team. It helps us understand kind of the bandwidth and the industry mentors we're going to be pairing you with and making introductions to. So please fill out the LOI with all of your team members. Highly encouraged, I would say, to have a broader team, but not required.
Carl,
Yeah, I
do you
would
have
agree.
anything to add?
I was just going to agree with Karen. I think absolutely. We've seen that people or program projects are more successful with a team of 3, but I wouldn't say that's certainly not necessary for the application, and it could be part of the process in the next few months or years as you build this out.
Great. And as Karen mentioned, we are going to be hosting a series of workshops after the LOI submissions have been completed, so probably in May. And some of those workshops will go over things like product pitch and just some general commercialization readiness topics. So we will have some industry experts more on that side who will be featured in those workshops. Another question is, I have a company and also affiliated with an academic institution. Can folks who have a company still apply, since there is something about wanting folks in a pre-company phase in the RFA?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that question, Leidy. We did write in the eligibility criteria, you'll see in the RFA, that the project's innovations must be at pre-company or licensing stage. So if you are have an academic affiliation, you also have a company, but the technology is still in that stage where it's going to be built within your lab. There's no issue with that. So we're really looking at where the project's innovation is at when we're talking about that criteria. I also know that a number of people are going to be applying with more of like a shell company in preparation for submitting an SBIR. That's not an issue. So as long as it's, pre-revenue, no assets, really just the company on paper for the purpose of applying for future funding or becoming a spin out eventually, as long as that innovation's at the stage where it is not moving forward into the company, no license, not encumbered by any licensing agreement. That's kind of the stage of technology we're looking at.
Great, thank you. We do have another question. I have a collaborator who isn't from Montana, Alaska, Idaho, or Wyoming. Can they be a part of the team?
Absolutely. We just ask that the PI be affiliated with the university. Erica, do you have something? A university in Montana, Alaska, Idaho, or Wyoming?
Yeah,
Erica?
university, or it, could be community college, tribal college as well, just an academic institution affiliation for the PI. Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit more about any specifics with the affiliation? Do they need to be faculty, or what sort of affiliation are we looking for the applicants?
So the funding opportunity is open to staff, faculty. It's also open to postdoctoral fellows and students with a fiscal faculty sponsor. If there happens to be a design surgeon or a clinician out external to an academic institution, we're willing to help support getting an affiliation, which I might turn over to Erica to talk a little bit more about that process and what would be appropriate.
Yeah, we do. People do need to be affiliated. To be the PI, they need to be affiliated with an academic institution. And all of your institutions are going to handle that a little bit differently. I only really know at the University of Montana, it happens at the department level. So you can find a department that would endorse your status as a faculty affiliate. So if from other institutions, not U of M, I would just reach out and find out what separate, if it's also at the department level, or if there's different procedures for getting a faculty affiliate status.
Yeah, I would say it's usually handled at the dean's level, like department and dean of your individual college, like Erica said. At least it's maybe different other universities, but what I've commonly looked up is at that level.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions that folks on the call have right now?
While we're
Okay.
waiting on questions, I'm really excited for this opportunity. We're really excited to have been able to bring this opportunity to the region. A couple key points that I think are really important in terms of considering whether or not you're going to apply for this funding. The funding application was built by the NIH and is the same across all hubs. And really the way that it was built was to help write more successful SBIR, STTR applications. And so going through the application process and going through the workshops that are really designed to help you write your application should really set you up for success in terms of getting closer to SBIR, STTR funding. Another couple great value adds of going through the process is that we have an external review board that's made of industry and technology experts that will be providing critical feedback. But also the applications are going to the NIH's Technology Guidance Committee that will do the similar process, provide an independent verification. And that is made up, the Technology Guidance Committee is made up of CMS experts or representatives, FDA representatives, USPTO members, and so they really can provide a very critical independent verification of the technology that in previous hubs has been really important, even just slotting it into your pitch packages as you go on to venture capital or follow-on funding, fundraising. I think one of the unique things out of this program is the level of project management support, ability to match you with industry experts or technology experts as mentors and team members. That was something that a number of the participants who have gone through the hub have said. And we're currently working on putting together some more information for previous hubs and the couple of projects that would be good examples of what success looked like in the past. And we should have that out for you later this year. We're hoping to create some success stories here. We're really loving the idea of funding some technologies that support rural innovators, rural health disparities across marginalized populations like American Indian tribes, in the region. And yeah, that's kind of a couple key points to think about as you start developing your LOI.
Great. Thanks, Karen. Caroline, do you want to just go over a little bit of sort of the timeline for the LOI application, and then the announcements of funding?
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about that. Let me pull up the RFA really quickly. So in the RFA, our timeline is there. We are bound, as Karen said, by things going through the NIH as part of the review process once you send your application and we have our awards. So we're thinking earliest decision will likely come in early August. We don't have an exact date yet because, again, it's kind of out of our control with NIH. And then our hope is to have funding and support allocated by September 1st. All of you, maybe most of you have accepted a subaward or a grant before at your institution, so you know there can be some delay with your Office of Sponsored Programs, but the award announcement should come in early September, so you can make your fiscal planning decisions based around it at that point.
Great, thanks. So just backing up a little bit, we are accepting the letters of intent until the end of March, and then we will review those and let folks know about applying for the full application by April 12th. And then starting the week of April 29th and all through May, as I mentioned earlier, we will be hosting those different workshops, and our sort of tentative topics that we have right now are addressing unmet need, talking about market potential, intellectual property and technology transfer, developing a work plan for the grant period, and then pitch practice and putting together a pitch. So we will also have an opportunity for folks to submit a draft of their full application during the month of May, where we can review it and provide any feedback about things that might need to change or be added for the full application. And then the full application will be due on May 31st. We are hoping to host the project pitches virtually the week of June 10th. So you won't need to travel to Missoula to do that if you are out of state. And then we will submit the final applications to the NIH on Friday, the 28th. So I know that that's a lot of dates all thrown at you all at once, but that is in the RFA. Just wanted to give you a little bit more context for what is happening in the timeline. Any other questions from participants right now? Well, we do have one here. To clarify, yes, thanks, Brian. Everyone invited for a full proposal will also provide a pitch. Is that correct, Karen?
Correct. And the pitch practice workshop will happen a couple weeks prior, so we'll work with you on that too.
Good question, thank you.
I would say also our hope from, even if you're not invited for a full application, is to still connect you to resources within the NIH and within our network to prepare you or give you feedback so you could apply for another cycle of funding as well. So just encourage anybody, even if you have maybe younger investigators in your network, just to even make a discovery call or to maybe just do the LOI, just to get some of that feedback could be very valuable.
Yeah, we're really hoping that this is as interactive of a process as possible. And even if you aren't awarded or aren't invited to apply for the full application, we really just want to connect with you and, you know, establish this ecosystem of folks who we can invite back in future years, or, you know, connect to other resources for funding or mentorship or whatnot, just to really get all four of our states working together and helping each other along the way, I guess. All right, anyone else on the REACH team have anything that they'd like to say about the funding process or the awards? As we
Maybe
wait for some
Karen,
more
do you want to
questions.
talk about our partnership with REACH?
Sure. Yeah. So we are saying that we're part of the WWAMI region, but we wanted to make funding opportunities available to the institutional development award states in the WWAMI region. That's why these opportunities are limited to Montana, Alaska, Wyoming, and Idaho. However, we have partnered with a previous cohort, which was actually funded at the University of Washington, called Washington Entrepreneurial Reach, REACH. And so they have come in, and a lot of their resources that were built in the 4.5 years that they were funded, have been adopted by their ITHS, their Institute for Translational Health Sciences, CTSA. To continue providing those resources. So while our ecosystems look quite a bit different, they're coming in as potential reviewers to consult with our team, to consult on technologies and various milestones that we should be prioritizing with this funding for each project. What else would you like to say, Erica?
Yeah, I think that covers it, and just linking us into obviously a much bigger ecosystem in the Puget Sound than we have in our 4 states.
Great. Thank you. Well, if there aren't any other questions, we can give you all a little bit of time back in your day. I think that was all that we really wanted to cover. I am going to put another link in the chat to sign up for our newsletter list. We won't get all spammy about it, but that's just so you can keep in touch with us, and we'll send out regular updates throughout the grant period about projects and other funding opportunities and just what we have going on. So encourage you to sign up for that and connect with us on our social medias. I'll put the link for our LinkedIn here as well. And we just, yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll hang out for another few minutes if there are any other questions. But if not, we appreciate your time and look forward to seeing your letters of interest come through this month.